Welcome back. Well, Russia's growing assertiveness is leading some to question if Moscow is an emerging threat. Since 2001, Russia has quadrupled its defense spending. And just recently, President Putin announced a $200 billion upgrade for the armed forces over the next 7 years. But this also coincides with warming ties on other fronts. Trade ties between Russia and the West are deepening. The EU is now Russia's largest trade partner, equaling a whopping $300 billion in 2006. Again, Russia is Europe's biggest energy supplier, and rising energy prices and strong economic growth has seen Russian wealth boom. Still, sticking points remain with presidential elections in both the US and Russia this year. The war of words looks set to continue. Does the West need to re-examine its approach towards Russia? I think we established earlier on that they probably need to. Our guests who gave us that information: Moscow, Alexander Pikiev; in London, Martin McCauley; and in Berlin, Henning Raker. Mr. Raker, is Russia a threat?
Russia is not a threat in a sense of a territorial or a threat to territorial integrity, like during the Cold War by the states of the Warsaw Pact Treaty. I'm not afraid of a Russian attack on European territory. I'm afraid of Russia interfering in stability politics inside Europe. I wonder if it's possible to win Russia as a partner in conflict management with regard to the Balkans, with regard to Caucasus, Central Asia, Middle East, Iran. And this is the question: whether Russia is willing to do more than obstruction, but whether it's willing to be a helpful, constructive partner.
Okay, well, let's throw that to Mr. Pikiev, if you'll let me interrupt. Mr. Pikiev, do you think that they will be a constructive partner?
Well, but actually Russia is a constructive partner. Russia made a lot in order to facilitate win of the coalition in Afghanistan in 2001. Russia quite disciplinary supports the US requirements in the UN Security Council about Iraq. Russia cooperates on Iran, Russia cooperates in North Korea, and Russia even wants to save the West from mistakes in Kosovo. It wants to save the West from violating international law. And not only Russia, by the way, also China, and maybe approximately half of the members of the Security Council is not ready to approve unilateral Kosovo independence. So it should not be portrayed as just Russia alone tries to prevent Kosovo unilateral independence. Russia is not alone here. Maybe majority of the world is against that, against violation of international law. And unfortunately, the West, and particularly the United States and major EU powers, are ready to violate the international law under quite unclear reasons.
Okay, Mr. McCauley, let me interject and bring in Mr. McCauley. If that is the case, then why has Russia been saying that it would go the nuclear route if necessary?
It would go the nuclear route because it cannot defeat Europe in conventional forces. It underlines the weakness of Russian ground forces. But one should point out that Russia has nuclear submarines, new nuclear submarines. It has military aircraft. It has an air defense system, which is absolutely first class. It also has, I believe, missiles and other things which are first class as well, and also torpedoes, torpedo which could in fact apparently sink a US aircraft carrier. But it doesn't have enough of all these to be a threat to the West or NATO at present. The fear in the West is they will sell this technology perhaps to Iran, and some think that perhaps Iran already has this torpedo which could in fact devastate a US aircraft carrier. That's the fear.
So are we going to see an arms race unfolding here, do you think?
Yes, Russia, I think, will go to the position where it feels that it is the equal of the United States in certain areas. It knows that in conventional forces, it can't really defeat the US, so therefore, and NATO. So therefore, it will concentrate on the nuclear, it will concentrate on nuclear submarines, on aircraft, and so on. To underline the fact that it now has strategic bomber patrols, but they can only do it once a week because they don't have enough aircraft. The recent naval exercises in the Atlantic and the Mediterranean only had one aircraft carrier, and apparently that aircraft carrier, Admiral Kuznetsov, has gone back into dry dock for repairs. So from the conventional point of view, Russia is not a threat. The fear is that it will build up its nuclear arsenal to a position. It has the technology, it has the brains. It will take time. It will develop to the point where it becomes a threat. But the even greater threat, it will sell that technology on to regimes which are regarded as hostile to the West, especially Iran.
Mr. Riquet, briefly, if you don't mind, what does the West need to do now so that it knows how to deal with Russia going forward as we see the coming presidential elections?
The West should take the opportunity to press forward with a partnership and cooperation agreement between Russia and the EU. I think there is some movement in this direction. Even Poland has indicated that it might support that. Finally, it should also go ahead and help with the ratification of the adapted conventional treaty on conventional forces in Europe, as kind of a gesture towards Russia. But it must be united with regard to Kosovo, and trying to be in a direction of partnership and cooperation with regard to Iran and the other crises.
Mr. Pikayev, lastly, who do you think Russia's closest ally is going to be?
Well, actually, it's, I think, ridiculous to portray Russia as a potential threat to the West. Look at Russian military expenditures that still are below $40 billion. At the same time, the US military expenditures exceeded $500 billion. So even if you compare those figures, it's clear that Russia cannot be any threat to the West and the United States. Also, Russia is going to use nuclear weapons first, not in order to defeat Europe, but in order to defeat potential conventional aggression against Russia by some neighbors. And here, the Russians just follow similar policy. It is pursued by the United States, UK, and France. So here, Russians were just good pupils of bad teachers.
Okay, let's leave it there, Mr. Pikayev. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's the end of the program. Mr. Pikayev, Mr. Reker, Mr. Macaulay, thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching this edition of Inside Story. Goodbye.